Adobe just changed the world of AI creativity. By the end of this video, I'll explain why. There's a brand new AI image upreser that has better quality than any tool we've used up until this point, and Minimaax 2.3 is here, and the quality looks really good, but how does it compare against VO and Kling? Well, we'll find out in this week's episode of AI Film News. Thanks for joining. Now, before we get going, I want to say thank you so much to the team at Adobe, along with the members of the Curious Refuge community that said hello at Adobe Max. We heard so many incredible stories of students who went through our training and landed jobs afterwards. I really appreciate everyone who came by to say hello. Okay, cool. Let's get to the news. So, of course, we're not going to bury the lead. Let's talk about the big news coming from Adobe Max. There were a ton of updates from the Adobe team, but I think the first one that I really want to focus on is the fact that Adobe has officially planted their flag when it comes to artificial intelligence. While they were a little hesitant to talk about AI a few years ago, this year's Adobe Max was almost exclusively talking about the latest AI tools on their platform. Now, the most notable update that I think really has a seismic shift in the way that we approach our creativity is the fact that Adobe has gone all in on being an aggregator that brings various AI tools together. Using Firefly and various tools across the Adobe platform, you have the ability to do everything from creating images to creating videos using some of the very popular tools on the market. For example, you can use Topaz, 11 Labs, Flux, Google, Ideogram, Luma, Moonvalley, OpenAI, Pika, and Runway entirely inside of Adobe's platform. Now, I'll do more extensive training in the very near future on how you can use Adobe tools for end-to-end creativity, but I do want to show you some of the newest innovations that we have inside of the Firefly platform. So let's hop in here. You can find a link below this video. I'm going to be using the Moodboard maker inside of Adobe. So we'll go ahead and select Start Moodboarding. And if you've used other tools like Miro, it works in a very similar way. So you can, of course, bring in third-party assets if you want. You also have the ability to create a completely new board. I'll just go ahead and select Create a Board. And of course, we have the ability to bring in our assets. I'll go ahead and click X. Now, the cool thing about using boards is you can kind of make it anything that you want, depending on your own creative organizational style. You can lay out all your images in a straight line. You can have it be super messy. Everyone's different, and it really just depends on what type of workflow resonates with you. So, for example, all you have to do is go down here to generate an image, and from here you can see we have the ability to select this menu, and now we have a ton of different image generators that we can select. And most notably, there is Firefly Image 5 at the very top, which is Adobe's brand new image generator that generates images up to 4 megapixels big. And it's a big quality improvement over previous versions of Firefly. That's really important because, again, Adobe's models are copyright cleared, meaning that your clients can use the images that are generated from Firefly and they don't have to worry about third-party IP showing up inside of the images. But of course, you have the ability to select other image generators if you want. Notably, you're not going to find image generators like Midjourney or Seedream inside of this tool. But I'm going to go ahead and select the Firefly Image 5 preview here. And I have a quick little prompt here, a cinematic still of a man in a sci-fi film holding a magical blue stone. Now, what's also cool is you have the ability to upload a reference image. You can, of course, change the aspect ratio. We'll select widescreen. And they do have this button right here that does allow you to go in and select sub-prompts. Basically, these are prompt presets that you can select to kind of push your generations in a specific direction. And you can also select random if you wanted to do something like that. But I'm not going to select any of those settings. We're just going to keep this open. And you'll also see here that it says it's going to use 0 credits. Adobe has announced that you get free image generations using any of the image models, not just the Adobe models, until December 1st. And they're also giving you free video generations using Adobe Firefly until December 1st as well, which is pretty cool. And as always, I'm going to go ahead ahead and click generate a few more times. I like having more images because I just get to iterate faster and pick and choose the best generation for my project. So we have a few different images here. We have this first one, which looks okay. It's not exactly a blue orb. Number 2, it's okay. Number 3, I think is pretty cool. And then we have number 4, and I did not prompt for him to be wearing a metal bra, so I'm not entirely sure what's happening there. But whenever you find an image that you want, you can go ahead and select place on canvas, and it will place it on the canvas here. Now I have the image here that I've selected, and what's also very cool is you have the ability to go in and edit and change these images using settings that you may be familiar with in other image editing software like Midjourney or Flux. So I just want to note that because you do have the ability to vary your image, you can go in and edit it. And you also do have the ability when you edit to edit using tools like Nano Banana or Flux Context, which allows you to be a bit more conversational in the way in which you change the image. And to put that in comparison, here's the image that we generated from Firefly Image 5. And here is the same generation from Midjourney. You can see Midjourney pushes into a much more cinematic result. The result from Firefly does seem a bit more stock. The lighting does come across as, stock video, if you will. But I do think that it's a big improvement over Adobe's previous image generator. But for our example, I want to go down here and select Generate Video. And you can see we have a tab that looks very similar to other video tools on the market. And again, you have the ability to select various video models depending on the specific model that you want. So you have tools like Mary by Moon Valley, Pika, Luma Ray 3, Runway, Google Veo 3.1. A lot of the really high performing video models are directly here inside of Adobe. Now, there are a couple notable exemptions. You're not going to find a lot of the Chinese models like Minimaax or Kling inside of Adobe, but we have Google 3.1, which I believe is the most intelligent video generator on this list. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one. So to upload our image, all you have to do is select the first frame button, or you can go to this little dropper and we'll select our image from the canvas and select use as first frame. So we have first frame here, and then you can of course do last frame as well if you're trying to be very specific about how your video progresses. Because this is Google Veo 3.1, we're going to make sure we have audio selected, and it's going to note that this is going to use 400 credits, and go ahead and hit generate. And after about a minute, it created this video here, which is really dynamic. It looks really cool. Maybe I'd prompt out the like weird blue flames that pop up here, but I like the idea of this guy kind of holding this orb and presenting it to something. And so I was like, okay, how can we like do a 2-shot sequence here? So guy presents orb maybe to like an alien ruler or something like that. And so we actually were able to use Firefly boards to sequence this out. And so we generated a new shot here using Google Nano Banana. And then we have this shot of him approaching with the orb, and the alien grabs it. And what's pretty cool about this video is you can feel a lot of the weight in the alien grabbing the orb from the guy's hand. So I think it did a good job here. And I should note that you could totally expand this. It could become a huge board with all of your shots. And what I love is you have the ability to loop the video so you can see all of the clips next to each other. So it's not technically a video editing timeline, but it allows you to kind of see how the sequence of events will unfold, which I think is just really helpful whenever you are working on a creative project. Adobe also announced a few other video updates that you should know about. Notably, inside Adobe Premiere Pro, there's a brand new tool that allows you to quickly create masks around your characters, which basically eliminate the need for rotoscoping for simple projects, or if you work on social videos where you cut out your subject, it's going to be a lot easier to create those directly inside of Premiere Pro. They also came out with an update inside of Adobe Lightroom that allows you to type in a prompt and find the images that you're looking for. It also has the ability to pick and choose the best images from your shoot, and can just help you save time whenever you're pulling selects or working with a client. They also integrated Topaz into their tools, which allow you to upres the images and videos directly inside of Adobe's tools. Adobe also announced a brand new feature that allows you to upload a video and it will automatically generate a soundtrack for that video that is the specific duration of your clip. So let's hop in here and take a look at it. So all you have to do is click the link below this video and we'll select generate music. So for our example, I'm going to bring in an animation example that I created for a tutorial earlier this week. It's basically about a minute long and it just is, you know, some animals ordering food in a cafe. And we'll go ahead and drag and drop that into the video section here. And you can see automatically it said we're going to create a melancholy atmospheric song with ambient drone style for a dystopian reflection. It's understanding that this entire film takes place on a rainy day, which is pretty cool. And of course, you do have the ability to go in and edit the style. You can also select different carrots here, depending on, you know, the project that you're working on. I'm gonna change the energy to medium, the tempo set to medium, and then it's 68 seconds long, which is how long the video is. And let's go ahead and hit generate. Okay, let's listen to our first track here. Sounds like a haunted house. Let's do number 2. Okay, a little spooky. And let's listen to number 3. All right, you can see it's taking a very dramatic tone in the generation. So as you can see, it will automatically create music for your project. Is that music better than hand curating music from a tool like a stock music library? I don't think so at this point, but it is cool that we're beginning to see automatic soundtracks inside our editing tools. They also announced a new tool called Project Moonlight that basically allows you to connect your social media account and it will create content recommendations, which is pretty cool. Very excited to test out that brand new feature. There's also a really interesting announcement called Project Graph, where Adobe has essentially created comfy UI directly inside of their platform. So all of the node trees and workflows that you are probably familiar with, if you use comfy UI or more recently runway workflows, you now have the ability to do a very similar thing using Adobe's Project Graph. And if you work on projects where you have consistent outputs that you need again and again, like social media projects or film shots that have a very specific aesthetic or character or style, I think that having some sort of workflow like this could be really powerful. They also announced a brand new mobile version of the Premiere Pro app, which looks a lot like CapCut. There's a lot of features in there for allowing you to edit your videos even faster. And there's a lot of the AI tools that you've come to know and love, like the sound noise remover feature that you'll find using Adobe Podcast. I use it all the time, and it's really helpful if you have a lot of media that you shot on your phone, because a lot of times, of course, you don't have a good microphone. So having the ability to enhance your audio directly inside of a mobile application, it's pretty cool. On the business side, they also announced a brand new initiative called Foundry, which allows large companies and brands to essentially create custom models that can run inside of Adobe's platform. The reason why this is important is because it connects studios and brands with Adobe's machine learning researchers to essentially create the best models for their workflows. A lot of times brands create a lot of images with specific products or in a specific style. So rather than using a complex comfy UI workflow or traditional LoRa training, you can work with Adobe's team to create a custom model specifically for your brand. And finally, on the business side, they also announced Gen Studio that allows brands to train a model not only on their image data, but also data across their entire company. Essentially, the value proposition is you can create different types of designs and assets from a simple prompt, and it'll do everything from social posts to website banners and streamline the entire process. They also announced a brand new AI assistant inside Adobe Express. This is really cool because basically if you have an idea for a design project that you're wanting to create, you can type in a prompt and it will give you recommendations on the type of design that you could use for that project. And then you can kind of go down the creative rabbit hole and give feedback. You can change the colors, you can change the assets. And this is entirely from a conversational experience. So you don't have to click, you don't have to learn tools. You're just having a conversation and changing the design based on your own creative taste. And what's also funny is the announcement that got a huge applause at Adobe Max is a new AI tool that will go in and automatically name your layers inside of Photoshop. I can't wait till they come out with this inside of other tools like Premiere Pro and After Effects. And, it'll just help organize your projects and make you seem a bit more organized than you are whenever you share your projects with other people. I think one of the most notable things that I saw from Adobe Max is a survey they put together with 16,000 content creators. And they said that basically 76% of those people have used AI tools to expand their business or brand. I really had no idea that AI was so popular across the creative world. Obviously, in this new creative era, there has been friction, but it seems like the vast majority of creative professionals are using AI in their day-to-day workflow. And from that survey, they also found that 38% of the creatives said that cost of AI models is the biggest barrier keeping them from using the tools. And that kind of transitions us to our conclusion about all of these updates from Adobe. I think the fact that such a large company is positioning themselves as an aggregator, and the fact that they already have so many creative tools out there that professionals use day in and day out, like Premiere Pro or Adobe Photoshop, it really says that the future of creativity is going to come from these aggregators. We've talked a lot about it in our student office hours over on Curious Refuge, along with this channel. The fact is, aggregators are the future of creativity. The era where you would have one model on one platform, I think is slowly starting to come to a close, and having a really robust all-in-one solution that can bring in different models into a single place, I think is the path forward. And the fact that Adobe has such a robust network of creative tools all in one place already makes them a leader in the space. But the big caveat to that is exactly what the people from the survey communicated: cost. So what does it cost to run these tools inside of Adobe's platform? Well, if you want to generate a video using a tool like Luma Ray 3 directly inside of Firefly, it's going to cost you 500 credits. Now, to put that in perspective, whenever you pay for their $10 a month plan, you get 2,000 credits. So essentially, it costs you $2.50 to create one video clip using Luma Ray 3. And so if you're working on a short film project, and let's just say it takes you 5 generations to get the exact shot that you're looking for, which would be pretty impressive because usually it takes more, and then your short film has 200 shots, it's going to take about 1,000 clips to get that short film put together. And that's going to cost over $2,000. So there's definitely going to be a need to reduce the price. The best dollar for dollar deal that is currently available on the market is the unlimited Google VO 3.1 Fast plan, which is $200, but you do get unlimited generations, which I use all the time. Enrollment is now open for the November session of our courses here at Curious Refuge. If you wanted to learn alongside the world's biggest studios and the most creative people on the planet, we would love to have you inside of our program. We had multiple people from Adobe Max come up to us and tell us that Curious Refuge has changed their life and allowed them to land world-class jobs we would love to have you inside of the programming. And we also launched our brand new AI screenwriting course, which is available over on the website. Be sure to check out the courses and let us know if you have any questions. The team at Minimaax released version 2.3, which says it has improved physics and is just all around a better video model. It generates the video clips in 1080p. Let me show you how to use it. So I'm here on the Hailuo AI website, and you can see at the very top here, it's very easy to use. There's a prompt box, so we can type in a quick little prompt. We'll say handheld shot, a troll walks around a field looking for something. And of course, let's go ahead and upload an image to create the start frame for the shot. So I have this shot here. I generated this using Midjourney, and we'll go ahead and bring that into the platform. And when you're ready, go ahead and click create video. And after a few minutes, it generated this video clip here, which honestly is one of the more impressive AI video clips I've seen in a while. There's a ton of weight in the character's steps. You can see the details of the hairs. All around, it looks really, really good. Now, there are a few things that I do want to note. For example, if you really zoom into the character and look at the texturing in their skin, there is a bit of distortion going on. So it's not crystal clear. I do think you'd probably want to use a third-party tool to upres or kind of fix some of those compression artifacts that are coming through. But I think it did an amazing job. Now, of course, let's compare that against Kling and Veo to kind of see what the difference is. So here's the result from Kling. So again, Kling did a really good job. It's very comparable. I'd say the camera lens qualities are a little more realistic from Kling, but altogether, it's not too far off. Both are really good. And then let's take a look at the generation from Veo 3.1. Okay, so as you can see inside of Veo, the physics and the performance from the character are the best out of the other tools. The problem is Google Veo 3.1 at this point is natively creating the video in 720p. So you definitely would have to upres it in that case. And of course, you're going to lose out on quality. So it's definitely a balance between using Minimaax, using Kling, or using Google Veo. I think that once Veo allows you to create videos natively in 1080p and beyond, they will ultimately win the video war because the physics and the performance is simply better. And of course, the audio quality is much better inside of Veo as well. So I wanted to do a couple other tests here. So let's start out with a VFX shot here. So I have this castle and this wall is coming down here. And this is the generation from Minimaax, which I should note does not have sound because Minimaax does not allow you to create videos with sound effects. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I wouldn't say it's photorealistic, but it's pretty darn close. I think it's almost on par with professional VFX that you would expect to see in like a mid-tier budget inside of a Hollywood production. So not too bad considering that was the very first generation that we got from Minimaax. Here's the same result from Kling. Again, it's pretty good. I think it's a little too hyper contrasted, not quite as realistic. I like inside of the Minimaax generation how the smoke kind of shared in the color grade from the video. So I think the compositing inside of Kling was not the best for this generation. And then let's see the same result from Google Veo. Okay, Google Veo went really over the top with the dirt explosion there. I really like the physics a lot, but I definitely would want to prompt that a few more times, I think, to get the generation that we're looking for. And then for our final example, I want to show you why ultimately I think Veo is the best tool for day-to-day AI filmmaking work. Basically, I have this soldier here and I want him to be kind of, you know, upset and say, "What is your name?" And this is the result that we got from Minimaax. He's not saying, "What is your name?" You couldn't even lip dub that because it would not match. So that's not what we're looking for. Here's the same result from Kling. Okay, performance looks real, but obviously he's saying nonsense words. So that's not what we want. And then finally, here's the generation from Veo.
What is your name? Is that...
Okay, he had a bit of a stutter there, but you can see, I think the character performance is the best from Veo, and the fact that he actually says the words that we're looking for is pretty great. The problem that you may run into in VO is it will automatically put sound effects and music behind your character. Sometimes, no matter how good your prompting is, you can't remove that. And so you may want to use a tool that separates background noise and music from the voice, like the voice separator inside 11 Labs if you're working on a film project. So with all of this being said, is Minimaax 2.3 the very best AI video tool on the market? I don't think that's the case, but it could be very helpful in select workflows. I do think I would primarily use Google VO, especially Google VO Fast, for a lot of my film projects. But if I'm not getting a specific shot the way I want, I would, of course, hop over into other tools like Kling or Minimaax just to see what we get and compare the results. The team at Magnific released Precision 2, which is their AI image upreser. It's a big improvement over the previous version of Magnific Precision, but I'm curious about how it stacks up against other AI image upresers. So let's hop into the tool to see how it works and then compare it against other tools. So to use the Precision Upscaler, all you have to do is go to Magnific Upscaler, make sure you have Precision selected, and that you are working in version 2. There's a few different versions of version 2, and you can totally pick and choose the right one for your specific project. I'm going to go ahead and select Sublime just to get the maximum quality possible. Now for our input image, I have this image that I generated inside of Midjourney. I'll go ahead and drag and drop that into the input image section. And you could do a scale factor that's way bigger than your base image. I'm just going to stick with ×4 because that image would end up being very large already. I'm going to turn off sharpening because I don't like to increase the sharpness of my images, but for smart grain, we'll keep it at, we'll say about 4% and go ahead and click upscale. So after about 30 seconds, we have an image here. So here's the before, and then here is the after. You can see we have a lot more detail on our character. So before, it was very soft, it's very pixelated. And then after, there's a ton of detail in her skin. You can see just little bumps, little cracks in the lips. There's a bit more of a natural sharpening around the glasses. The weave of her hat looks much more realistic. And so it did a good job at making this overall scene look really, really good. Her hair looks very, very good. The way the bokeh kind of slowly fades the hair into the background looks realistic. Her shoulder, you can actually see the film grain and the texture from the shirt. So it really did an amazing job. Now, of course, we have to compare that against other AI image upscalers on the market. Last week, we talked about a new tool called Crystal Upscaler, and this was the result from Crystal, which again looks pretty good. There's a lot of detail in the skin. You can see there's, the wrinkles in the chin. There's a lot of realism in the hat here. Her glasses have like dust on the lenses, which looks pretty cool. And again, it did a really, really good job. We used Topaz Gigapixel to upres the image, and you can see her lips look very plasticky. The skin looks plasticky as well, so Gigapixel did not do an amazing job here. And then finally, we upresed the image directly inside of Midjourney, and you can see the skin texturing looks super, super fake. So with all of that being said, I think that the new Precision Upscaler inside of Magnific is the best image upscaler on the market. It seems like it's doing a photorealistic job, and if you need an image to be really, really big, especially if you're working on a project that's going to be printed out or put on a large canvas like a billboard, then I think Magnific is the best tool for you. From a cost perspective, it costs about 17 cents a generation to upres your images if you're using that ×4 model. That's compared to 40 cents if you're using the Crystal Upscaler that we talked about last week. So I do think Magnific is just generally your best bet. And you can compare that against Gigapixel, which is $17 a month. So the tool's cheaper. You can generate up to 10 images at a time. Altogether, I say Magnific is the best tool for image upresing. There are a ton of AI film events popping up around the world. We have a Curious Refuge meetup in Denver on November the 1st. We host a digital office hours every single Monday where you can get your AI film, video, and creative questions answered by our team of experts. That's on Mondays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And we also have a Curious Refuge meetup on November 5th in Palm Beach. be sure to check out our film events page over on our website to see not only Curious Refuge events, but also the greater AI filmmaking community. And that brings us to our AI films of the week. We have a ton of films that we want to shout out in this week's episode, but I want to give a huge hat tip to the winners of our Halloween competition that we put together in partnership with Epidemic Sound and Leonardo. Our judges had a really hard time picking the winner of the competition, but at the end of the day, story was king, and we were really impressed with all of the submissions. So for our films of the week, I want to shout out 3 projects that were created by our studio Promise in partnership with Adobe for Adobe Max. The first film is a project called My Friend Zeph by Dave Clark. This was a hybrid project that took traditional filmmaking and AI filmmaking and fused them together. Some of the shots inside of this project look incredibly high budget, and it's one of the best quality examples of a hybrid AI workflow that I've seen to date. The next film that I want to shout out is called Kyra by Meta Puppet. Meta did an incredible job with bringing a building back from vintage photographs that he took, and he crafted this really awesome, compelling human story that's also really funny and really showcases his directing and editorial skills. So fantastic job on that project. And then finally, we have Nagori by Guillaume here at Promise. It's a really beautiful 2D animation aesthetic. The story is very compelling. The voiceover, even though it was AI generated, is really, really nice. So I highly recommend checking it out. We're also going to do an exclusive behind the scenes breakdown with these filmmakers to share with you a specific workflow that you can follow to create similar films of your own in the very near future. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of AI Film News. As always, please like and subscribe here on the platform to get the latest AI news and tutorials directly on YouTube. And you can subscribe over on our website to get AI film news sent to your email inbox every single week. I hope you have an amazing week. Best of luck on your projects.